everyone, and welcome to the American Scouser podcast. Another Monday night. We are back in action. All three of us as a trio again. I am your host, as always, Timucin here in Chicago, where this is typical Midwest over here, goes back and forth. And, it was beautiful. I think it was Thursday. It was like 60 degrees. Then it was 25 degrees. This weekend was freezing. Today was rough and supposed to be really nice again tomorrow. So it's vintage Midwest weather. Bickler is in the house. What's happening?
Yeah, dog, we're topping off at 45 degrees, and it was 75 on Thursday. So, that's how the influenza happens. So I am just hoping everybody stays safe and doesn't cough on me.
Yeah, it is like an ideal weather to get sick because you're hot, cold, and it's happening all over the place. But somebody who's enjoying the weather, we were talking about actually this morning show. We were talking about East Coast or whatever, but somebody mentioned you, Mecca, and Shelton. Actually, it was Trevor, I think. And I was like, Trevor, I feel bad for. Mecca, I don't know. I'm like, Gally will make it. I don't feel that bad for Gally. Wrestling the snow. So you were telling us before we went on air live, quite the fun you hearing.
I basically have the neighbor of the year who walked out as he saw me ready to shovel and was like, why don't you use my industrial size double auger snowblower? Still took a good hour plus to get everything going and move it and clean it. But yeah, better than I would have thought. Because honestly, guys, I think I might have had a heart attack and died in a snowbank. And that is not a big snowbank if I'm going to be in it.
I think the real question has to be asked is why you're one of four white people in New England that doesn't own a snowblower.
So I owned a snowblower for years. It broke right at the end, right at the beginning of this season. And I went to get it fixed and they said like $1,400. And I was like, I can get one of these motherfuckers in the off season for $300 on Craigslist. But you can't find a snowblower in New England for less than $1,800 once there's an inch of snow on the ground. Not once there's snow on the ground. Because they're like, we know it's like buying an air conditioner in a heat wave. So I decided, I knew this guy in the neighborhood. He's doing other people's yards. You can't plow my driveway because of the way like my driveway is. There's nowhere to push the snow. So he was like, I will use snowblowers. Like I'll snowblow it for X amount. And everything was great. He did a bunch of storms so far. And then he texted Kelly on Friday and said, I'm done for the season. My equipment is broken. And as I told Timucin, that sounds to me like I got a DUI last night and I no longer have a license to drive around because this guy had corporate accounts. And if your equipment breaks, you can actually go afford to buy an $1,800 snowblower. So most likely he is probably going to show up in a police blotter in the next week.
This is a much sadder story than I thought was going to happen.
And just so we're clear, if you're shocked, if you're shocked, I found it
as much. So I'm not going to.
Yeah. If you're shocked I found a drunk to snowblow my driveway for $50 a whack, then
because he was paying
you guys aren't paying enough attention.
Yeah, because Gally is like, so how many Miller Lights to do the driveway? How many Miller Lights to do the walkway? Is what I was doing. And so
he just sticks him in the driveway.
I mean, that's crazy that they are that. I mean, is it like price gouging basically going on? Or are we talking like, because I envisioned you, by the way, because you were talking about it before the show and you said industrial, like you're riding this thing like a jet ski or like a water ski, like you're kind of like running behind it.
Dude, this thing was literally like, I felt like it was a wheelbarrow and I was just walking up and down the driveway trying to turn that thing. Like it literally was like trying to get a boat. It was like watching one of them yacht shows and they show the like captain back the boat into like this crazy little slip. That was me trying to get around two different cars and a rock wall. I almost took I have like one of those big ass rock walls on the side of our driveway. I almost took the whole thing out because I nicked it with the auger and I could see the rock start moving. And I was like, if this thing collapses, I'm just fucking quitting life right now. But yeah, no, I mean, you can get a cheap one at like Home Depot or something. The problem with that is you buy a snowblower at Home Depot and a part breaks, they bought it in bulk and you can't get a replacement for it. So it's like you almost have to buy them from someone who will service it. Because, newsflash, when you have a snowblower up here, you use it an awful effing lot.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, obviously in Chicago too, and I know you're gonna have to, find one that's a manufacturer. What happens is though, even if you get it to get repaired, unless you're one of those guys who can repair his own stuff and no motors and all that. I mean, if you take it somewhere now to get it repaired, you're gonna get it back in April to mow your grass with it. So it's not gonna be very useful. That's usually how that works. So if you have a mower who's not working, people, now is the time to take it. Because if you take it there in April, May, when everybody's cutting grass, you're not going to get it till July. That's the way it works. But
needless to say, I know where the tax money is going in the spring.
yes,
goddamn snowblower.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. We haven't had it bad, knock on wood over here, but hopefully we're done with the snow slush, Shelton. But we'll see about that. Okay, lot to talk about. Another win this weekend, another clean sheet this weekend, but yet nobody's happy. So we'll talk a lot about that. But to make you guys even less happy, let's do trivia first and get that going over here. Bickler last week, in your absence, just freaking nailed it. Like one shot right in the center, and he got it. This one is fairly easy too. Okay, so McAllister's goal in 90+7, the one that counted, was the 7th stoppage time goal in Premier League match play for Liverpool this season, and the 3rd, which was a game winner. Name the players who scored the other 2 stoppage time game winners this season.
Rio.
Newcastle, okay.
Oh, God, dude. I'm so bad at these ones where I have to go back. Injury time game winners.
And as an additional tiebreaker, I was going to have you guys do this stoppage equalizer, but let's go with the winner first.
Had to be towards the beginning of the season, right?
It was a win that, okay, I mean, it was kind of like this one where we didn't play well and we should have won it. But
we should have won it. So was it a winner or was it a?
It's a winner.
No,
These are game winners. Okay. Yeah, dude. I'm like, yes.
I mean, is it just like, dude, what? It's got to be towards the beginning of the year. Was it? I'll just go. Wait, did we have a pen versus somebody? I feel like we had a pen. So Salah?
Yes, Mo Salah against he's on a roll with these, dude. I don't know.
Mo Salah against Burnley and Rio.
Burnley. I was gonna say Bournemouth, but then I was like, no, it's not Bournemouth. Okay.
90+5, September 14th. That's way back. Against Burnley. That's when we were winning always in the last 10, 15 minutes. And remember, Yali, when it didn't matter when you scored, it didn't matter what happened. All that mattered was winning and 3 points. Remember those days when that's all that mattered? What has happened to those days?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It doesn't fit what's weird to me. And I said this in Discord earlier today. It's just odd to me. I understand that you can't take what you see on Twitter as, a real subset of fans, but they are fans, right? They're supporters. They take time to create an account. They take time to make posts. And God knows a few of them just can flutter my algorithm in my feed all day long, and it just makes me sick to my stomach. And I can't block them because I also manage our Twitter, and I don't know which ones are based on our Twitter and which ones are their or my Twitter. So it just makes me hate all of it. There is a subset of supporters, I don't know the size of it, that I genuinely believe are rooting for negative results, potentially even losses. I think there were folks who, after Mo got subbed off yesterday, were hoping Liverpool would concede so they could be like, that bald fraud, that mega brain, whatever, mega mind, whatever, and I'm not, that's a joke, guys, to the guys in Discord. Like, everybody's saying it all over the place, but I think they're actually rooting for us to lose, actually rooting for us not to make Champions League, because they think that will assure that this head coach isn't back next year. And I just, as bad as it's been, and it's been dire at times, and the first half yesterday is another one of those times I don't think it was great. I can't get myself to be that negative. And maybe it's just me being like 48 and having some bullshit health stuff in the last couple of weeks that makes me realize, like, this is a game I used to watch for enjoyment for 2 hours to escape real life. And now I watch these matches and I want to escape the football team that I love to follow and cover so much. It's weird.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten out of that phase. It got ridiculously negative. I mean, you guys, obviously, you two know where I kind of like took a week off from like the morning shows and stuff like that too, because I felt like it got so freaking negative that it was more annoying and frustrating and depressing than being fun. But I am now looking at it in a different kind of like light. So really not looking at it. I don't give a damn about those people anymore. I think because there's a certain type of person who just likes to be miserable. So even after, I mean, I see it's and this is like across, it's not like a Liverpool thing. I see it in Fenerbahce too. You know, you win 3-0. Well, how come we didn't do this? Always have to find something negative under the cover of, I'm thinking for the future. We won this week though, kind of bullshit stories and stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I guess my thing is, I do agree with you, Gali, where in terms of like, you know, people would rather be right than have their team win at this point. Kind of like people have dug in. We were talking about this morning with Mateusz too. It just feels like, Bickler, there is no way to change minds anymore. Because first it was, well, if we got the results, if we stop losing, we started tying. Well, I mean, if we can't win. Now this team is actually getting points. And I do agree. I think that first half, we've had some really shit early morning performances during the Klopp era. We were like, what the fuck? Like they haven't played in like 6 months or something like that. So it was even worse than that in the first half. That's probably like the lowest I've seen in terms of people looking like they have never. It looked like we had like NBA players playing football the way they were controlling ball and stuff like that, like what the Gravenberg was doing.
Ugh.
But at the end of the day, we are winning. We're getting points and we're not conceding. So isn't there more to be happy about than to be depressed about?
Listen, man, I think we just tend to go in extremes. And I think like football is being added to the list of things that you're not going to change anybody's mind online about, right? With like right along with politics and religion, right? Like, and I think the bottom line is like, I think my frustration is when you have a side that like desperately needs points, desperately needs to find form. In two of the biggest critical junctures of this season coming down the pipes, you saw some really disappointing things. Our approach in the City game being one of them, and then this match performance against a team that had to turn around in 72 hours and fly back from Turkey, and we have a full week's rest, and they come out like that. I think to me, the frustration is that this is fucking February, guys, going into March. And this football doesn't look like it's getting any better despite the results. I think we're lying to ourselves if we sit here and talk about like, oh, well, you know, they'd be 20 matches unbeaten. Well, we talked about how that was one of the worst unbeaten runs when they were just drawing team after team that we needed.
I know, but they won 5 out of 6. And
right.
In the one loss, they won 5 out of 6. And that one loss, you say it was terrible against City. We weren't great for the first half. We played them off the pitch in the second half. We take the lead. If it isn't for 10 minutes of madness and Ali coming and rushing out, we have one more point. We're in the Champions League spots right now. This is where I struggle. It's 5 out of 6 wins. And if you take out that Bournemouth match and whatever you call the City match, it's 22 unbeaten. That's a long ass time since we had the worst run in forever. And I get what you're saying, Paul. But I just feel like this is one of those ones where we have won once in 17 trips in the league to that stadium. The win was a last-second goal between McAllister and Darwin. So it's not like going to the City ground is this easy place. They had one opportunity all match. It was 3 minutes in. The defense was really good. Back-to-back clean sheets on the road. Back-to-back good performances in the league on the road, and a clean sheet against Brighton. And I understand they're not things to like write home about, but all of this while you don't have one of your right backs and you lose Florian Wirtz 8 minutes before the kickoff, which basically is everything you worked on all week out the window.
I think it's an extremely like silver lining look at that across the board. Like my problem with the City match was the approach to it, not the result or like the second half. I think when you come out,
that, by the way, because I've heard this a couple of times.
I didn't think that we came out proactively in that match to take a match to City. We came back to sit back. We sat back. We were lethargic. I didn't think we looked like.
Do you not like that because at Anfield? Because we were extremely happy about that when we did it against City away last year.
Yes, it has to do with the location, it has to do with the form City was in too. And I think we can sit here and talk about how we had all these impressive feats where we went to Sunderland, who was unbeaten and, won. We won at a place we haven't won in 17. Like, I think we can do all that. But at the end of the day, like there were just as many chances to lose those games. At no point did we dominate anything. And in fact, when we do dominate possession, it's starting to look like Brendan football, where it's possession for the sake of possession.
But I mean, here's my thing. Like I get that when like the play wasn't great, and you're it's like a smash and grab, and you get a win. I just don't get the negativity of when this team was playing well, where we consider they played well, they deserve better, they should have gotten a win out of this, or they considered a last-minute goal and stuff. Everybody bitched over here and said, regardless of how well we play, if you're not getting the points, it's worthless. Now,
I think I was one of the ones that said I actually felt better about one of our losses than I did about some of our wins. Like that was my. I mean,
like do we want performance? Like people are always say, like performance doesn't matter; it's the results.
I want to watch good football. Like I love good football, and like
so you're more on the you're what Slot said during the press conference. He cares more about the quality of play than the points in the bag, because that's what Slot said, and he got absolutely destroyed.
Nope, I'm with him on that.
I know you're with
but
that.
Honestly, I don't think Gally. That's what I felt like when he was saying that. You're talking about the roundtable thing, right?
Well, he said it a few times. He said, "I apologize because I don't like the brand of football we're playing." I mean, it's felt to me like he was speaking to supporters like Paul, and I think it's what he believes in. I think he wants that, but I think he got shortchanged in a squad. There's no two ways around that. They left the squad loose of players, and then injuries came in and changed everything. I'm sorry. We are battling right now, in my opinion. If Isak doesn't get hurt, we have 6 to 8 more points in the bag just from the goals alone and the rotation pieces and the fact that guys like Gakpo doesn't have to play every minute of every game. I do believe that. I think the Isak injury was massive. And I think when you lose both your right backs and therefore it weakens your midfield, the whole thing, I think the manager got some things wrong yesterday. No question about it. But I think from 45 to 50 minutes on, he was every bit tactically perfect. And no one wants to hear that. His substitutions were ballsy. Taking off Gakpo
I don't like that.
Changing both fullbacks. No, that's Paul. You gave him so much credit all last year for the second half.
This feels like when we listen to our president take credit for fixing the problems that he created. That's what this feels like.
So what was the problem? Wait, what problem
did he create?
Well, my problem is, first of all, why the fuck would you put Curtis Jones in midfield and swap him for Szoboszlai after you watch Curtis Jones just ball out at fullback and know Szoboszlai's importance in the midfield?
Because I think
why are we blocking minutes for the kid that's like clearly creating the most goal scoring chances every time he's on the pitch, regardless of his age?
Do you think he can start right now?
Yes.
Rio is a regular
100%.
starter, you think, for this?
100%.
I don't think so.
No, he can't.
Paul, did you watch the Michael Owen interview the other day where he literally talks about how he would have had 5 more years of his career if Jared Houllier didn't decide to play him like a senior player when he was a child?
Can you imagine if we did this for Raheem Sterling?
No, it was. Raheem Sterling was 2 years older and played less minutes. And honestly, it did. Do you know why? What happened with Raheem Sterling at Man City? His minutes were managed just like Foden's were in his late teenage years. When he first went to City, he went rotated in and out. Pep would play him 3, sit him 2. He didn't play Foden for 2 years after Foden was the golden boy and going to be England's. I honestly think
that's not an apples to orange. That's not an apples to apples comparison.
He's 17.
But here's my thing. That's why. Okay, let's not do apples and oranges. Let's look at the freaking guy. Do you really think he has the physical body right now to be able to give you 60, 70 minutes where he's going to go attacking and he's also going to come back and defend?
Well, first of all, what has he done in the time that he's had that has suggested he can't do that?
He's never played more than 20 minutes in a match other than a cup game.
Okay, so then why are we we can't answer that? But in the 20 minutes that he gives us,
but do you think somebody in this club knows that he can give it or not? This is what I understand.
Guys, he's clearly the best fucking offensive talent on the pitch when he's on the pitch.
Okay.
Clearly.
But that's not my question. I'm asking, can he start? You're saying he can. Why would he not start then? Don't give me this.
My point is, why don't we fucking find out? Why don't we find out?
Why?
I think we're going to.
Why would you have to prove it to the fan? This is what
Guys,
I
we're chasing Champions League. We're chasing Champions League at the end of February. Why are we just finding out now?
Wait, I did a show with you and Kazi, and you both criticized the manager for constantly putting the kid out there with 10 minutes to go to win a game. Now we want to put him out there with the impetus of taking us to Champions League.
Yes, he should have been rotated in far long ago. He should have been rotated into the squad regularly from the beginning of the season.
I think
here's my thing. Okay,
this is
where I don't understand.
That's where I don't get
this
it.
about Chiesa, and nobody freaking talks about Chiesa anymore. I think, right?
Because we realized the jury's out.
Found out.
Nobody's
found out.
I hate when people say, "Well, let's put him out there and let's see." It's not for you to see. These people see it at fucking practice. Like, let's put Ramsey out there and see what he does. Nobody gives a fuck what you see out there to see what he does at right back over there. These guys watch him and practice every
know what?
day.
I don't give a fuck about what happens in training because I'm seeing enough on the pitch right now. Right? And I know that's arrogant. I'm not the manager. Okay, well, listen, like every time this is like the third fucking match in a row he's come in and essentially either scored or made a direct goal contribution.
The sports science guys are making the call. Slot has made it clear. He's being told he can't even do full training sessions because he's going into the red zone. If he trains 3 days in a row, he is, and I understand Maka hates it, but this is what they do. Like, and this league is different. It's not the league that Raheem Sterling and Suarez and those guys were playing in with a bunch of up and down and running. This is a physical, and the other problem, and no one wants to talk about, we all want to play Rio. We're going to play Mo. God knows the manager is going to play McAllister, and eventually you're going to have Frimpong and you have Kirkes. You can't defend a set piece if every single person is under 6 feet tall.
So we're not playing Rio because of set pieces now.
Come on, Paul, 45% of the goals in this league. Wait, do you know why our stats have turned? Our stats have turned and our results have turned, wins and losses, because since January 1st, Liverpool has the highest percentage of goals scored from set pieces and the lowest percent of goals conceded from set pieces. A huge piece of the 7 weeks of evidence we have is they have gotten better at defending the set piece, and they are actually creating chances from set pieces. We know the manager hates this style of play, but let's not kid ourselves. Joe Gomez's long throws did change the game yesterday because the first one creates an opportunity for the goal, and the fear of it creates the drop off into the box that allows for the easy throw in to go to Szoboszlai for him to create the final play. Like the long throw in, the set piece. Did you watch? I don't know if you guys saw Everton against United today. It was 1-0 United. Everton had 15 corners, 11 in the second half. It was literally a rugby scrum in the 6-yard box. This is what the game has become, and it's part of the reason we're struggling. We're trying to adapt to it. I just find it funny. At the beginning of the year, it was, you got to change this. You got to change this. They've subtly changed it. Our center backs are arguably our two best players on the pitch in form right now, especially Kanate. And we're playing with still a makeshift right back. I totally agree with you, but you don't give any credit to the manager who then realizes the mistake and then switches Jones to right back. He gets no credit for that.
Well, I gave credit because he did it 30 minutes in, and we don't like. I don't know. Kazi's point. Did he actually make that call, or do you think Szoboszlai actually
Jesus
flipped
Christ?
It?
I have such a hard time with this man.
Okay, here's my thing. I mean, with the Gakpo thing, I mean, I think, size, I mean, the set pieces, I don't know if that's the sole reason, but that's probably a good factor that Gally brought up that I didn't think of. But I think the main thing is the amount of defensive work that Gakpo does that people oversee. We gave him a lot of shit for not doing it last season. We gave him a lot of shit over here for not doing it last season.
Listen, I'm not going to use this last match as a reason why Gakpo should start over Rio. That's for fucking sure.
I don't understand what the hell that means because I haven't finished it. But what I'm saying is you're not going to get the Rio that you like watching right now and the Rio that's very down positively going forward right now is you're going to get for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I think. I don't think you're getting the same Rio if he has to do the defensive work that Gakpo is doing right now and then going forward at the end. That's I'd like
to find out. I'd like to find out.
I want you to know, I think he's going to get a start. I think he'll start against Wolves. I think he'll start both matches against Wolves. I think he'll get a start against Wolves in the league, probably on the left wing, and in the cup on the right wing. For me, the best thing that came out of yesterday, again, give the manager a little credit. He brings on the subs when he does. If you don't think yanking your two wide players at one time isn't a kind of bold move, and then 5 minutes later pulling out the other two.
I don't think you have a choice.
Well, you say he doesn't have a choice, but we've watched him do it forever. And we've also watched Mo Salah basically show him up over and over again. So he could question that. And at 0-0, if they lose that game, he's getting slaughtered today for not making those subs. He makes those two subs.
Right, so
I think even more important than those subs were the two fullbacks, because he identified that this match was going to be one from wide areas and he wanted fresh legs. Gomez was awesome, by the way. And I do think if maybe he knows Wirtz isn't in the match, he probably brings another young center back with him. And maybe then he can slot in Joe Gomez. But I think it is a dangerous one to start your third center back at once when you don't have another one, even a kid on the bench. Now we're dropping Gravenberch and his legs back in there and watching what happens. They make the moves. But not only does he do it, he sends Rio out to the left. He sends Chiesa to the right. And after 5 minutes, he goes, nope, all the joy is going to come from the right-hand side here. And he swaps them. Because to your point, I think he does see the talent. And I think he does know he's a game changer. So he takes Chiesa, where we've all wanted and been asking to play him, off the left. And he moves Rio to the right, which allows Rio basically to attack and gives that inside area for Gomez to make some runs into, for Szoboszlai to work the channels. For me, from about 45 to 50 minutes on, I don't see what the manager does wrong. And then it gets rewarded with a goal and the fight from the players. All I've heard is they don't play for this guy. They've quit. They don't listen. They're not listening to the plan, or they're not doing it. We're even giving Szoboszlai. We're giving Szoboszlai credit for changing up positions on the pitch. If anybody's got Arne Slot's back, it's Szoboszlai, who he has made a star. Because let's be real, we never saw this player under Jurgen Klopp. Not the player we've seen the last two seasons, last year or this one. And this one is even better, in my opinion. So to me, I don't understand. I get the frustration. They start slow. I think he gets it wrong. I think when you have a whole week of training and you build an entire process around one player, because let's be real, this whole thing runs around Florian Wirtz at this moment. And then you get that player's taken out with 6 minutes to go before the kickoff. I think it's pretty hard to reroute it. And if it takes 30 minutes of feeling it out and truly having your midfield be overrun by a midfield that's, let's be real, they're better.
Well, here's my thing, though. This is what I was, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, Bickler, because initially I did not have a problem with I don't think he would have made as big of a difference if you didn't have McAllister and Gravenberch play as poorly as they did. Like Gravenberch not being able to control balls, McAllister being really way off of it. I felt like it wasn't because of Szoboszlai not being there. I just felt like they were ridiculously poor. I mean,
well, maybe they're not as poor if Szoboszlai's in there. We talk about.
I mean, Szoboszlai's not going to control the ball for freaking Gravenberch, dude. Like he was bouncing up like he was Lukaku out there.
I just think that we talk about when like our informed players, like they make other players better by proximity. I just don't understand why you'd have one of your midfielders who plays outstanding in one position in a game prior not play that position in the next match when you need it. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like we talk about how this team needs some sort of consistency, some sort of build on chemistry, and then we do things like basically flip Szoboszlai, our most important midfielder, back to fullback right after Curtis Jones has a phenomenal match there, and then put Curtis Jones in the midfield. It's just unnecessary volatility, and I don't understand it.
Have you enjoyed, and I'm being really honest here, you like Szoboszlai in that deep lying double pivot where he forgets he has to defend and doesn't track runners back? And because honestly, you wanted to play him in the McAllister role, which is fine. But I'd argue if you rated his positions this year, he's best in the 10. He's probably been the next best at fullback. Yeah. Especially against a team like this. And honestly, I would rather his pace and running against Hudson-Odoi than I would Curtis Jones falling asleep. Now, it doesn't help that Curtis Jones walks on the pitch. And let's just get to Curtis Jones here because, albeit I'd have to be the vice president of the fan club because our resident Scouser has made it clear he is Curtis Jones's guy, left, right, and center. If you are supposed to be where you go to the podium and tell reporters you belong starting every big match, show me some goddamn professionalism that you're ready to play from the bench if you're called on it, if a player gets hurt, because he was a train wreck for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I understand, maybe it's how you get ready, the difference from being a sub. I've heard it all before. Great players are ready to come in the moment. I forget what player it was. Always refused, had his jersey on, even under the penny, even though they said you don't have to wear your jersey. And he was like, nope, because if you need me, I'm ready to go immediately. Jones was terrible. And to be honest, didn't get that much better when he went to right back either.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, regardless of, I honestly look at this game. I think the back line should get a ton of credits. Konate, Van Dijk, and Kirkus, I thought, had a solid game too. Because you look at all your midfielders that went out there, Bickler. I mean, Curtis, regardless of where he was playing, constantly was dribbling into cul-de-sacs with like getting lost between three guys, dropping like a sack of potatoes. It wasn't a foul or anything either, just basically overpowered by being trapped in three people. Like I say, Maka just misplaced passes. Grabenberg can't control the ball. Why do you think the huge drop on all four of them is like? Because like you said, this Forest team, bear in mind, they did play Thursday and there's the travel and stuff like that, but they had a much of an easy game against Fenerbahce, and they were subbed off and stuff like that. So they did not even, most of them didn't even go like full 90, but still they look like they had more legs. So this break off.
Yeah. So here's my biggest problem. I mean, we talk about like wanting to hold these players accountable, and I think we should, but like at the same time, like when enough players drop off, like that's not a player issue, that's a management issue. And it makes me wonder what's going on midweek during training when we have a full week to recover, rest, get ready, and be sharp for a match, and we have a team coming in gassed on legs coming from Turkey that comes and plays us off the pitch for the first 45. That's concerning, and that's on, like, we're going to give the manager credit for things like he's got to eat and he's got to take his fair share on that one, because to me that's a management thing.
But isn't that maybe just, and I'm just going to throw it out there, maybe it was the tactic wasn't to come hell for leather to start, because just like you saw in the match, wait, hold on, Paul, before you tell me no, just like you saw in the match, because they flew back, because they aren't deep. You see that bench, their bench made our bench look like vintage Barcelona with talent all over the place. They had nobody to come in. Every move they made their team weaker. So maybe the manager says to himself, we're not coming out hell for leather because I don't have the deepest squad. I don't have the fittest squad. We're getting better at it. I just lost one of my guys, so I'm down one more body. I got two keepers now back on the bench, and I got three kids that I'm not planning to play outside of Ngamoa. And maybe
so you're telling me, you're telling me the tactic was to go against the 17th best team in this league who came off short rest and sit back on them?
I'm not saying sit back on them. I'm saying not go hell for leather, knowing that as the game went on, they'd have the legs to finish it, and the other team wouldn't, which is basically what happened after making subs.
I mean, I buy that partially, Gally, but I think
he's been doing
play was so poor. Like I say, I mean, that's probably.
I think that's a dangerous game with this side to play, considering the fact that they cannot play from behind.
I don't disagree with this, but here's the thing: they didn't go behind, and I understand they could have. 3 minutes in, there was not a opportunity after that was more than 0.06 XG. They didn't. Allison didn't do another thing except for kick the ball waywards out of bounds constantly, and once again. They didn't have out balls. And part of this that nobody wants to talk about were those two wingers that got yanked. Part of the reason they should have been yanked earlier, and I think you made the call earlier, they could have got yanked at halftime. Part of the reason that they ran through us in midfield is because the line between our attackers and our midfielders is so vast and so huge because Mo Salah and Gakpo refuse to do anything. Brian Shelton keeps telling us this is a 4-2-3-1. This is a 4-2-1-3 because Gakpo and Mo are staying up top like they are just like we are in the high press the whole game. And it doesn't help that the one player we haven't talked about all yet is the guy who didn't show up once again. That was Ekitike. He didn't have service, so I won't even criticize him for the touches in the box. He didn't press. When he did press, it was wrong. He did look like he had weak touches. And this is what happens, to your point, Paul, and I've been saying it all along. This is what happens with 22, 23-year-old kids. They're not ready to lead a side like a Liverpool side from an offensive standpoint. And when Mo Salah is doing what he was doing, which was basically getting the ball and dribbling and kicking it out of bounds. I mean, when he quits on that ball with Nico Williams and just watches it roll over the end line, it was really, really tough to watch. I'll be honest. I struggled mightily with Mo's performance because I very rarely ever question effort. It almost looked like he knew it wasn't his day and he gave zero fucks. I know he did. Don't get me wrong. But it felt like he wasn't going to do anything else. And that's where, to your point, I'll take Rio. I'll take Chiesa. Chiesa will give me nothing, but that son of a bitch will run. And he'll give you 90 minutes of running in 20. So at least he gave him the time to get it out there and actually do some running. And it did help at times because it shifted the defenders around. It created the chances for Ekitike that he just, on another day, he probably buries one of them if it doesn't hit his head.
Were you going to say something, Bickler, midway
Nope.
through? No. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, Shelton says he sees your point. And I think, yeah, that break definitely did not help him. They definitely did not come back the way they should. I was going to say something, but it went away now because I can't remember now. But, I mean, honestly, I keep going back to the poor midfield play. I did not even think. I know we did not create as much going forward, but when your midfield is not there, like you say, Ekitike never got the ball. And yes, that kid has to work on his heading. I mean, we were talking about it with Matush. That should never even go to McAllister's arm at the end, which, again, I know it's the rule, but yet another horrible rule that should probably be looked at and changed, by the way, the first goal over that. I realize it's by the rule, but it's really a dumb rule where he has zero control over it. Then it's not even like it was away from. I understand how we do the handball within like different in defensively, different attacking. It just makes like zero sense to me how we look at it. But I mean, so as he says, Gravenberg was as bad as Gakpo and Salah. And I think so. I honestly think he was probably one of the worst players on the pitch on that day. And Mecca kind of almost like changes the outlook because he scores twice in overtime kind of a deal. But I did feel like it was the midfield that failed us more than anything else. I mean, I know Gakpo lots like a lot of like criticism, regardless of what he does, just by being there. And I think partially that is that because Bickler people want Rio there, like someone like you, for example. I know you're not overcritical of Gakpo, but Gakpo, whatever he does, gets criticized. He's the one that only creates our chance, mind you, with that back post that's Mo heads back to Jones. That Jones probably should get a better contact with it, but. Is Gakpo getting over the top hate because people just want Rio?
I don't think it has anything to do with Rio. I think it has to do with the fact that he's following the lineage of Sadio Mane and Diaz back to back. And I think people are expecting goals out of that, right? I think the system's set up differently. It's not designed to score from wide areas. So I think it is going to be, I think the goals are going to be different in the side in general. I like a lot of what Gakpo does. I thought he was really, really poor last game. And honestly, I thought everyone except for bar 3 players like Kirkez, Kanate, I think they showed out. But other than that, I felt like everybody else really struggled. I mean, Ali's coming up with big saves, but I don't know what's going on with Allison, but his distribution over the last 3 or 4 weeks has been horrid. Like we're going to there's going to be a goal that's conceded off one of those at one point, at some point, if that doesn't clean up. So I don't think it has anything to do with Rio. I think it has to do with the fact that he's following two really big names and people are used to goals up front. I also think the fact that he's Dutch actually kind of hurts him right now because he's like death by proximity with the manager. Yeah. So, and all the thing about like people protecting his minutes because of the World Cup and all that nonsense. I don't really buy into that. I just think it's kind of an unfortunate connection that people are making.
I think so too. I mean, isn't he a lock for the World Cup, for God's sakes?
Yes.
I mean, we were just talking about this morning that he actually plays even a lot more better and not because he doesn't play the same position and he's expected to do less defending and stuff like that. But he does definitely do better for the national team, especially at least stat wise and number wise than he does for Liverpool because it's a totally different role and he's expected to do less things. I think, like I say, one thing that we are not kind of like people keep overlooking is the defensive work he does. But for Ali, Shelton says 57% accurate long balls. I think not only like the risky stuff that he was doing in the back. I mean, some of the poor like turnovers, if you will, we did in the back were not just the player themselves. They should never get that ball in the first place.
Right.
And
Oh,
they
there's
should
a
not
couple
get it
times-
the way they got it. Like if you zip a ball into a
Wasn't
guy,
there
you're
one
like, dude,
Virgil just literally smashed one at Jones?
Yes.
Just literally, and it was almost like Jones had just fucked up like 4 times in a row, and Virgil was like kicked it as hard as he could at him, like literally, and then like kind of looked at him and put his hand up. But even in the first half, where Virgil just goes crashing in, and Gibbs White just lets the ball run past him, and then takes Virgil completely out of it, and they're on like a 3-on-1, and luckily Konate, mops it up. I think Konate has quietly been Liverpool's best player since he came back from the loss of his father, which makes you wonder how much of his early season form might have been some things being bigger than football, the weighing on him at the time. And I'm not excusing, diving in a bonehead moment at Leeds, because I don't believe when you go down and tackle a player, I don't think you're thinking about your sick dad. I don't also think that, when Ali clears out a guy, it's because something bad is happening. But overall, I think headspace is a huge thing, especially in a game that is in such fine margins and at a position like central defender. I thought he was really, really good. I thought once again, Kirkez was really good. And I thought Robertson was bright when he came in. It's crazy that at the beginning of the year, left back was the position with the old guy who can't run anymore and we don't want to see and probably needs to be taken out to the pasture and shot, and the young kid with the bad haircut that dives in and is rash and arguably is probably the deepest position we have, because it's probably the only position we have 2 really good options for.
I don't know, man. There was like a moment in the second half after Robertson comes in, somebody literally like walked by him, and I was
they're
like,
going to.
holy cow,
They're
he
going
has totally lost the burst. I mean, the good thing is, and I think that's the balance there, right? I really think that's one of the big reasons why we did the substitutions, because I think when you have Rio up top, you're going to have a guy that's probably going to sit back and play a bit more safe defensively behind him and Robertson. If you have Rio and Kirk is out there at the same time, it looks explosive, but I think position discipline wise, I don't think you're going to get that. That left side is going to get exposed. But I'll ask you guys this, like Frimpong, I know in the pre-match press conference, he said
Next week
he should be back in action this week. When he comes back, Bickler, where does he go? Does he go slot back into right back only because we don't have a right back?
No, I think he should slot back in the right back because he's the only one that we can actually have a run into the overlap with. Like, I think he gives you another option to push forward, like so you can alternate on that overlap between Kirkez and Frimpong. I think you don't get that. You don't get that with Soboslai, and you don't get that with Jones. And I think if you have the overlap option, I think it actually forces Mo to kind of drop deeper a little bit.
It gives him a chance to go in, get into that inside channel too, and occupy a center back.
But doesn't Mo, don't you guys find Mo like kind of like hugging closer and closer to the touchline to create now, as opposed to the old Mo who would kind of go in and was a lot more agile, obviously, in between like 2-3 guys? I feel like when he's creating, he's almost coming out wider. And overlap would not hurt, don't get me wrong. But I feel like that right now, when you have like Soboslai or somebody playing, they're usually like running from the inside channel, like into the box where he just like rolls in front of him, as opposed to like old school, like back overlap from the outside.
It's true.
I think it depends on who's playing fullback.
Oh, you think so? So you think it's not really Mo, it's basically whoever is playing behind him.
Yeah, because
I think they're telling Mo to take wide.
I think Bradley naturally made that inside run better than he did the overlap. And he liked that inside run, and then he had the athletic ability to get there. I think when you have Jones and Soboslai, they're almost playing as an inverted fullback at times, where they become narrow and then they push forward, and that makes that run easier for them. So in some ways, I wonder if Mo is actually facilitating by staying out wider, because it absolutely takes him out of goal scoring opportunities. I mean, take the Brighton match aside, he really hasn't looked like he was going to score a goal. And what is it? November, last goal from open play. It's or no, the free kick. But is that open play?
I don't think that counts as open play. No,
Yeah, no.
Well, just joking.
By
It was a
definition,
joke.
no. Like,
Yeah,
But then again, Tobaslai rolled it, so the ball was moving. It was in play. I think it still counts as a free kick because it was within 5 seconds. I think Frimpong goes to right back. I also think it allows Arne Slot maybe a little bit more cachet to play a little bit more of a rotation between Frimpong and Gomez. I think his nervousness with playing Gomez at right back is he knows what happens every time you play Joe Gomez. Joe Gomez looks like a competent footballer. And then supporters want him more Joe Gomez.
it goes back to your fear, though, like what you were saying earlier.
No, it's the
Putting
injury.
all three at the same time and risky. But I wonder, yeah, Shelton says Timucin's favorite position, the inverted fullback. I think it's a lot more natural when you have Soboslai or Curtis
It's
or
a
somebody
midfielder.
playing right back. For them to be like, inverted, because that's kind of like their thing is midfield. But I just don't understand why it's when it's like somebody like Frimpong, you gotta use that speed, and he has to make that outside run. And like I'd rather have the old school, almost like a wingback fullback, if you will, that is gonna do the outside run. I mean, that will
Don't call them
definitely help.
wingbacks.
oh,
Don't call them
yeah.
wingbacks. We're
Yeah.
gonna go back to that one.
Is he a right back or is he a wing back? But I mean, him coming back will be a huge upgrade. Obviously, another week off. At least I'm assuming he learned his lesson, and he's not going to have them go on vacation or anything like that again, because it did definitely look like they were coming back from vacation. But next up is West Ham at home. What kind of a response do you guys think? Because I mean, they know. And I mean, we had a bunch of quotes go out today, and the post match. I mean, I would listen to the post match to see what Slot would say, if he's going to sugarcoat it or if he's going to own up to the fact that was like a brutal performance. Bickler, they all kind of own up to the fact that, and we've all been in games where you walk away and you're like, dude, we had no freaking business winning that. Or like I was saying this morning, there was a lot of games where you're like, how the hell did we not win that? So we've all been there. So these guys know that they got away with one. Do you think that makes Saturday almost like a reaction game where they kind of come back out a lot stronger?
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm probably being harsh on these guys from a mentality standpoint because they have fought through and pulled some things over the line this year. I just don't have any confidence of what's happening behind the scenes right now. And I think like that's my biggest worry is like I just want to see an identifiable brand of football that's enjoyable to watch. That's all. Like if we fucking lose, we lose, but I want to see some sort of progress in terms of just the cohesiveness of this team. I know it's threadbare. I know they've got injuries. I know we're playing people out of position, but it's been, we're going into March, man. Like I gotta see something.
I just feel like that
the
was
other way where I'm more about, I don't want us to play as bad as we did it in the first half, right? I mean, let's get that straight. I'm not like, let's play like shit, but, smash and grab. But I'm okay with an average performance if it means a win. When I was watching that Sunderland game, we were talking about it last time, my biggest fear was we're playing great. The worst thing that can happen is a stupid goal given because it will throw all the given. I just know right now, go back to what you were saying, Gally, there are a lot of people, unfortunately, almost like hate watching. And doesn't matter how great we play. And I know like Bickler you're not one of them, but my thing is you can play great, but if we lose the game, the narrative will never be, oh, but we're playing much better. The narrative will be, doesn't matter. It's the points that matter is what's going to be.
And that's, I don't disagree with Paul, by the way. Like I want to watch beautiful football. I want to get back to enjoying it. And, it was nice, wasn't it? Like to have like where you'd win 3-1, 4-1, and you'd be up 2-0 at halftime, and you'd be wondering what subs Jurgen won't make in the second half to let you see players on the bench, or how boring it'll be when we go up 2-0 and Slot says, "All right, we're good."
Yeah.
But look, the game's changed. And Paul, you made a comment recently about the overworking of all these players, how many minutes are in their legs. I think we saw it all across the Premier League. United was terrible today against Everton. If it wasn't for a broken play on an Everton corner and a counter, it ends 0-0. You had tons of teams drop points. Like And most of the teams who had the whole week off were the teams who played the worst this week. Chelsea, Villa, like there were a lot of teams that didn't have a midweek match, and maybe they trained all week. Maybe they sent their guys to Ibiza. I don't know. But like it didn't go so well because I do think we're hitting this period. This is the time of the year where it becomes more of a slog than it is anything that's going to turn beautiful. And I don't think we're going to see it. And that's my thing. Like, I think it got really, really ugly. And he said, we're going to make it even uglier so we stop the rot. And then it's been small incremental gains. And I do believe people really wanted it to click. I don't think we see an identity. I'm not even guaranteeing if we make Champions League, win the FA Cup. I've said it before. I think there's just as good a chance Arne Slot decides he doesn't want to be Liverpool manager at the end of the season. Because in some ways, what the supporters have done collectively to this man is almost something that would give you, to your point, Paul, a little PTSD about, do I want to sign another 3-year deal? Like, do I want to be here? Because let's be real. They lose one match early next season. And the same group is out with pitchforks and axes again. So if I'm Arne Slot, I might say, you know what? Let's stop the talks. I'm going into a lame duck year. We'll negotiate a buyout for my last year of my contract. I'll go sit out for a bit, and then I'll be the hot coach that's ready when Real Madrid fires next year's manager, or Bayern Munich decides that company goes to City, or like maybe that's what happens. But I just don't think we're going to see anything from now to the end of the year. This team needs a refresh of players. It needs 2 or 3 more exits. It needs 4 or 5 more additions, as much as nobody wants to hear that. And it needs a year where the 3 guys they bought to lead us, or 2 guys they bought really in Wirtz and Isak, and now we know Ekitike, those guys have to hit the ground running to start next year, in my opinion, to get us back to the brand of football we want. We want it to transition to a new team. And then the biggest star we bought hasn't played and has scored 2 goals. And for all the love for Ekitike, Isak will be the number 9 starting through the center of the pitch next season. And I don't think it's even a question.
Yeah, I mean, you would think. I mean, here's another thing. We see Ekitike. I mean, it will be different next season. I think he'll be more used to. We already see
he can also play on the left. He can play off him.
We're getting more and more. You
can
kind of see the body. It's not the same Wirtz that started at the beginning of the season. It's a matter of like getting used to the Premier League and stuff. I don't buy that with the Slot take, though. I mean, it's very possible, I guess, but I think he realizes that it just comes with the territory. If anything, Bickler, maybe he's seeing that, man, like that. Maybe like he came last year. He's like, what is the big deal over here? This is cake kind of a thing. And maybe he's realizing that, yeah, this is a challenge. And I do feel like he's the kind of guy that will take the challenge as opposed to, yeah, this is too much like hassle for my taste kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think like he's a tough one to get a read on, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like he's trying to talk himself out of the job. Like, honestly, especially when things are not going well. I just think that some of the stuff he says like post game is kind of wild to me. But I think he's definitely, he's here through the end of the season. For sure. I don't see this changing mid-season at all. I don't see us going into a caretaker situation. Even
they
if
would have done it by now.
Yeah.
If they were going to do it, they do it by now. We're on a win.
How would you justify it now? Like, you're winning. Like, how are we, apart from fans sick of Slots, like, how are we justifying that he's fitting fire now?
Well, I'm just saying if he goes and loses back-to-back to Wolves, right? Like, I don't think we're firing him and taking caretaker.
Probably not, yeah.
The only way you justify it, honestly, is if you come to a mutual agreement that he isn't the guy for the long term and Xabi Alonso is willing to take the job now, which we know he's not, because he's waiting to see if Bayern, City, and what other jobs are open for him in the summer.
Which is the exact reason I don't want Xavi, personally. And not to mention, it feels really icky to freaking like fire Slot and give it to Xavi when what he did in the last offseason, taking himself out once he realized that we're not interested and all that kind of stuff. So I am not as sold on that. And I kind of hate that fans have doubled down on the slot out thing once Xavi became available.
100%.
Because that's ridiculously fucking ugly. I'm sorry, but regardless of which side on the in or out thing, to do that once, if you were already on the out, which is fine and dandy, but doubling down on it once the other guy became available is really low.
Timucin, where are you at right now? They're currently in 6 on goal difference behind Chelsea. Chelsea's dropping points left and right, still getting guys sent off, has a coach with even less experience in this league than any other coach, honestly. You have United, plucky United, 3 points ahead of us. We still get to go there, and we'll see what happens. And then you have Villa coming quickly back to the pack, only 6 points ahead of Liverpool, with Liverpool still playing Villa later this year. And Villa has some tough fixtures and the Europa League to probably prioritize at some point, because it's probably a more guaranteed way into the Champions League than even this is. Like, are you at a point now where do you believe they will make Champions League? Like, I actually believe they are the second or third favorite out of those 4 teams. I think there's every bit of a chance they catch Villa, and Villa is the team that misses out on the top 5, and Chelsea, United, and Liverpool make it. When you look at the run of fixtures, we have the better run in the immediate, and then we end the season. It's tough, no question. But
yes, the end is there, but I mean, you just mentioned Chelsea, so I want to give you the Chelsea schedule because it's going to support your point over here. They go away to Arsenal. Obviously the end of the London derby there. They go away to Villa, so somebody's going to lose, right? Then they have the Wrexham away. Then they play Newcastle, and then they go away to Everton, and then they have City.
And don't forget that they have a Champions League round of 16 tie in between 4 of those matches.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like, there is schedule advantage there. I think at the minimum you get 5th easily over Chelsea, but I don't know if we're going to catch Villa. It really depends on what Villa does.
Our last 5 fixtures, though, I mean, you're talking at home versus Palace. Palace always plays us tough. I know they're not what they used to be, but they always play us tough. Then we're at United, home versus Chelsea, at Villa, home versus Brentford to end the season. Not an easy, not a cake.
I think by then you have to be above by like 3, 4, 5 points above Chelsea before you go into that run.
I'd agree, but I'll take Chelsea. I'll take playing this Chelsea side at home. If you need points, I think they can get those points. I'm sorry. I think Villa, if you look at the underlying numbers, Villa is absolute fool's gold. Villa is where they are because, in my opinion, they have the second or third best manager in the Premier League. And I don't think they'd be anywhere near it if they didn't. And we kind of saw it with almost the exact same squad of players when the last former Liverpool manager
Europa.
player.
I mean, they're the favorites to win that thing. So they're going to go deep in that tournament. And they might actually go ahead and win it. So you might have like a Forest versus freaking Villa kind of final over there. So they're going to be going all the way. That is going to make them fade even faster, I think, because there's something to be, regardless of how deep your squad is, when you do make so many changes, like Shelton is saying in the comments, it's just too many matches for a squad that's not normally used to playing that many matches. So I think, I don't know, the point gap is really big. It really depends on, I hate kind of like relying on the paper, but on paper, you have a schedule now where you should be able to string some wins. Well, I'll ask you that. I mean, more than my opinion on this, because I think you knew probably where I was going to go with it, Gally, is Bickler. Where are you going with it? Because let me ask you this. So you have West Ham, then the 2 Wolves games, Spurs at home, Brighton away. If I told you we beat West Ham, Wolves, and then Tottenham, do you still believe do you still take a negative approach to things as they are? Or what will it take for you to be like, or is it just play, not results, just play?
I just want to see better football. I just want to see him play better cohesively. And I think like Jamie made the comment in the chat, like it's just not going to happen. This is a transition year. And I guess I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with the idea that it's just not going to happen. Like
We've seen glimpses of it.
We saw that happen with City last year. It was City. This is City's season last year. They started okay. They tailed off. They looked like they were dead. The manager's got to get fired. Pep's got to go. Yeah. He's pulling out his head. They buy some players in January, unlike us, but we don't buy players in January.
Yeah.
But then they
so it wasn't like our season then.
But No, but they turned it around, but they didn't play any of those players they bought in January, the second half, which is the great part. They sent one out on loan. The other kid they banished after one red card or one goal given up against Chelsea. The Kusanov kid was on ice, and they would send Marmouche back to Frankfurt if they could. But
which is crazy to me.
It is crazy. And that was one that got away. He would have been perfect for us. Yeah. But and maybe might have been able to partner with this other striker we have. It looked like it was a pretty good thing. But you look at them, and then they came out this year. They've had an up and down season. But I will still say, and I know you guys, it'll be shocking, I still expect City to win their game in hand. I expect City to beat Arsenal at the Etihad. I don't know if they'll win this league, but they're going to be right in it with a week or two to go. And they kind of still showing that they're improving along the way. I think last year's City is a little bit of a microcosm of what.
Do you think City will? Do you think City will sell Holland this summer?
I do. I think this PSG link is actually really, really legit. And I think the fact that PSG actually put it out there in the media and admit it, they made contact with City to make the intention known. We will pay any price you put up.
So what's the common denominator between City's play being poor and our play being poor? Two sides trying to build it around one player and having a tough time figuring it out. I think that's the parallel for me.
Well, we built it around Mo for a decade. It worked okay.
Right, and it worked, right? And now we're not, though. And
hence the transition, I think, though. Now you have to change things around because when
I'm saying City, I think City is realizing it doesn't fucking work for what they want to do.
I do think they're realizing it. I think that's why they went out and bought a player in Semenyo. And if you look at Semenyo's numbers since he got to City, he actually has more. He's taking more shots than Holland. He's getting more touches in the box than Holland.
I think that he's convinced Pep that they don't need Holland.
Okay, you guys want too much City over here. Jamie says, I think it can happen, but glimpses like we have seen, it's not turning. I mean, yeah, I don't expect us to like go Harlem Globetrotters out there. But we have seen glimpses of it working with Veers kicking in, and really, I don't think this midfield can play a worse game. Let's hope we just got it out of the system over here, because I really don't think collectively they can play this bad, even if they tried.
This is a perfect team to play. West Ham is a perfect team to play because their midfield, their best player is Matthias Fernandez, and the kid from Southampton they bought, other than Bowen, but he's getting up there in age and he's not scoring any more goals. The new kid looks like Castellanos or whatever. He runs well, he looks it, but he doesn't look like he's going to score a goal. Somerville is arguably the biggest concern, which might make me actually think about giving Joe Gomez a start here and just crossing my fingers and seeing if I can't get through it, because I might want a traditional right back to play against Somerville on the left-hand side because he's been their best player. But a midfield that has Thomas Souček should allow Alexi McAllister and his lead boots to find a way to get around the pitch. Like,
I think so. I mean, here's the thing with Frimpong coming back, we might see Gomez maybe do like a 60-30 kind of a deal where you do give Frimpong off the bench like 20-30 minutes. So you might, I mean, I was thinking that as I was watching it this weekend. First of all, it gives us the long throw that we did not have before. So two can play this game, have him throw it in, and because he's not going to score in the box, he can at least throw it in there. But I think gives us that weapon for one with the people we have in the box, and two, man, it's probably the most solid way and put Szoboszlai where he's at. It's probably harsh on Jones to evaluate him, but man, you gotta, going back to what Gally was saying earlier, I expected him to kind of rise to the occasion and make it so that, see, this is why I should play. Instead, it was more like, dude, this is why you're not playing. I thought, like, as I was watching it, which is, like I say, it might be harsh because it was one game and he probably found out, well, when we found out Veers is not playing like 8 minutes before that, hey, you're starting by the way in here. But I mean, you would think he would have been ready to go. I expected a lot more out of him actually when I found that. But when Veers was not out there, I was like, oh shit, because I do think we have kind of, when everybody gets the ball and looks up, they used to look at where Mo is. I do think more and more we're looking at where Veers is, where he's making the run, creating the space and stuff. But having said that, let's end with predictions as always. Bickler, the pessimistic one. West Ham, what are we doing?
1-0 good guys.
1-0 good guys?
Yep. Look, dude, it's 3 points. It doesn't matter. We get it.
That's a good answer. I knew that was coming, you
that
fucker.
shit. I am clipping that shit. Out of context, but I will use it.
I'm gonna go with the slot special 2-0, a fourth consecutive clean sheet, third consecutive in the league, and maybe that is the little bit of it isn't a corner, but it's a foundation to build on, because if you can be solid at the back, then I think you put yourself in a position to compete moving forward. You have to win this match. You have to.
Yeah.
There's no two ways.
I go with the Timucin special. The 3-1 is the way I'm going over here. And real quick, I'll ask you guys this, because I thought about this, like what Scott is saying. I thought about it as I was watching the game, because my initial thought was two can't play this game, because that's how I roll. But when we were doing it, like throwing it in long. But at the same time, like if the tool is there, you have to kind of use it. I feel like us changing our set pieces, the way we take the corner picks by crowding the middle more instead of what we used to do. If it's working for everybody else, instead of whining about it, why not do it? I don't want us to become set piece FC, but I want us to win games. Like, I don't care. If it's going to get us a goal that opens up the game afterwards, I want that. I want us to win regardless of how the goal is coming. I'll ask you that, Bickler, since you're Mr. Style. Are you okay with the long throw, for example?
Yeah, I am. This is a contradictory kind of moment for me, but listen, you guys really fucking set me up there.
Wimbledon.
No, honestly, I think when I think style of play, I think about even without the ball, what's your philosophy in terms of shape and pressing, right? Like what does that look like spatially? And I think when I think stylistically with the ball, I want to see the way that they advance it and stuff. I kind of take set pieces out of that equation, because I think for me, set pieces are just kind of like, to me, that's just like, I think set pieces are a scrum, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay if it's ugly and nasty in there. And I think, if you remember back in classic Prem, they always used to be like that.
Yeah.
And you know what I'll say quick, and we'll wrap it up on this one. Like, from the set piece thing, I understand what Scott 6403 is saying. Doesn't want to become set piece FC. My issue isn't that Arsenal got really good at set pieces, because I think if you're really good at something, you should absolutely work towards them. My issue is Declan Rice taking 55 seconds to take a corner. Yeah. Or Hincapi running all the way across the pitch from left back to take a throw in on the right-hand side. And if that was the right midfielder waiting that long to throw the ball in, the referee would give him a yellow card for time wasting. But because it's a long throw, they allow for the defender to come all the way up and all the other defenders to come all the way up. So to me, it's more about the enjoyment of the football match, of what's happening. I think the scrums are fun, but we have to be realistic here. Like, all of this would be called fouls at any other moment, anywhere else on the pitch. Yes. We used to protect the keepers too much. Now I almost feel like there were a couple times today I literally thought Tarkowski was going to take Lamen's head off for United on the corners. He was elbowing him in the chops. Like, it wasn't even questionable. And the refs are like,
what happened? You couldn't let cough next to the goalie like 2-3 seasons ago.
It
now
just
you
feels
like punch him and it's all good. It's
the time wasting. The time wasting about this whole the NFL kind of like playing and blocking and all these moves. It's like the mixture of a rugby scrum and like the old school picket fence, 5 guys setting a screen for one dude coming around the edge for a 15-foot jump shot, Jimmy Chitwood style. Like, it was just crazy. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And that part of the game, the referees, the league, they need to figure it out. Whether it's times, clocks, shot clocks, whatever it is, something needs to be done, because this, Arsenal playing matches where the ball's in play for 47 minutes and they score 3 goals within the 23 minutes that it's offline. It's not a way to promote what is supposed to be the greatest league in the world. And I do think it's impacting the play, because it's a copycat league, as seen by us in stoppage time with long throws.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, I'm okay with the good thing about being a set piece FC and being real good at set pieces. As a defender, it affects how you defend. If you are so worried about giving away corners, you defend differently and you do shit you normally would not because you don't want to give away the corner, and that causes you to make another mistake instead. So I think having that fear in the opponents that they don't want to just kick it away to a throw in. How many times have we yelled at like Kirkes or somebody for like kicking it? Like, dude, why are you giving him a throw in and stuff? So in the beginning of the season, when we were like really, really struggling with all these throw-ins, I think that's the biggest advantage is you are affecting how other teams defend, and you're getting in their head because they don't want to give you the set piece knowing how dangerous you are. But I do agree with, in terms of watching enjoyments, it is pretty rough. But sadly, I don't know. There will be some tweaks to it. I don't know how much unless they start calling things a lot more, where it ends up being a turnover every time you just like haul it in because they're going to call the foul. I don't know how they can deter that, because I agree. It just becomes, it's like a corner kick now where everything stops. Another 30 seconds. We just wait and grab a snack or whatever. But okay, so you went with 1-0. What was you? 2-0? The slot special. I'm going with the Timucin special 3-1. As then goes, we win. Galdi and I will be happy, and then we'll just listen to Bickler, Bitch and Moan next Monday night, hopefully, as long as we win. But do join us then. Tomorrow night, the panel is back. There'll be a lot of bitching and moaning there, I'm sure. There's some interesting results over the weekend. We'll see, especially if Jake can make it about like Tottenham and stuff. I would love to get his take on where he's at with that team now. But do tune in for that, and I'll be back Wednesday morning with Audrey for the Wednesday morning show. Have an awesome week, everybody. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.